I'm no prophet, but I do know one thing about you. You are busy. In the whirlwind of youth and children's ministry, you have no problem filling your time. There are innumerable things that you feel like you should or could be doing. Sunday morning breakout sessions, Friday night outreach groups, small group Bible studies, mentoring programs, provision for children with special educational needs, schools ministry, detached work, managing transitions from primary to secondary, preparation for university, writing session content, pastoral conversations, engaging with parents, raising and releasing young leaders, social action projects, recruiting and training volunteers, fundraising, planning events, organizing residentials, sharpening your own gifts, going to training conferences, spending personal time with Jesus, and perhaps even finding a spare moment to watch a video like this one. Oh, and then there's those risk assessments to write, DVS checks to process, child protection policies to formulate, finances to reconcile. Man, I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Chances are you are busting a gut to make all of this happen and feeling guilty about the things you wish you were doing but can't seem to find the time to give proper attention to. And if that's you, I know how you feel. But there is another way. I'm no prophet, but there's a second thing I know about you. You cannot do everything, and you certainly cannot do everything well. In youth and children's ministry, there are so many good things that we could be doing, but just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Steve Jobs is quoted as saying, "I'm as proud of what we don't do as I am of what we do." So what if the best strategy for you going forward is not to add a new program, but to take one away? Not to invest in a new resource, but to focus in on just one. Not to launch a new group, but to shut one down. Doug Fields makes this salient point. When a youth worker, we could add children's worker, is talking about how busy she is, you can be certain that something is wrong in her life. Why wrong? God has given us the exact amount of time we need in a given day, week, month, and year. If we're too busy, we're not correctly prioritizing our opportunities and managing the time which God has entrusted us. Therefore, something must be wrong. Could it be that you are putting an enormous amount of time, energy, and effort into some things that you feel you should be doing, but have not actually been called to do? And what if, in order to say yes to the God things, you have to say no to some really good things? You know, in recent years, I've been approached on several occasions with a number of opportunities that were without doubt good opportunities. And each time, you know, I felt genuinely privileged to be asked, and there are elements to each opportunity that I would have enjoyed. And one might even suggest that they were positions that could have, you know, enhanced my reputation or boosted up my CV a little bit. But as it happened, I said no to all of those opportunities. Why? Well, because we don't make decisions on the basis of what they will do for us. We don't say yes to opportunities simply because they are visible or because they feel like progress. We don't agree to give our time to new things simply because they are good. No, our filter for opportunities is simply to ask, what is God calling me to do for him? And will this opportunity enable me to do it? Too often we say yes to opportunities because they seem like progress, which in actual fact divert our time and energy and focus away from God's assignment for our lives. So in order to say yes to the God things, we need to say no to some really good things. In his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins writes about the hedgehog concept. He explains that in a battle between a fox and a hedgehog, the hedgehog always wins. Why? Because it curls up in a spiky ball and the fox can't eat it. In other words, it does one thing brilliantly. The fox, meanwhile, has all kinds of strategies. He sneaks and he pounces and he attacks from left and right, high and low. But no matter his approach, the hedgehog does the one thing it has mastered and wins every time. As Jim Collins writes, hedgehogs, they see what is essential and they ignore the rest. In youth and children's ministry, there are so many good things that we could be doing. So we strive to do all of them in order to develop a well-rounded ministry. But friends, I want to say, don't strive to be well-rounded. Strive to be sharp. Be more hedgehog. I mean, how might our lives change if we saw what is essential and ignored the rest? How would our ministries change if we learned to do less, but to do less better? Pastor Andy Stanley says this: perhaps the two best kept secrets of leadership are these. 1, the less you do, the more you accomplish. And 2, the less you do, the more you enable others to accomplish. So by focusing in on only the things that God has specifically called you to do, you free up your time, energy, creativity, and competency to deliver on those things really well. And you create opportunities for others to do the things that you've stopped doing. So everybody wins. This kind of reductive mindset can feel counterintuitive, but is absolutely liberating. For a start, how many of us, hook our sense of personal value into our busyness? We think, if I'm really busy, then I must be important. But in addition, we fear dropping things because it looks like and it feels like failure. But what if trying to do everything is actually preventing you from excelling at the main thing? And what if by holding on to all of those responsibilities, you're actually robbing somebody else of the opportunity that they need to grow? Chances are there are some people around you who are super passionate about and highly gifted in the things that you wish you didn't have to do at all. The challenge then is to identify and focus on the wildly important and to empower the people around you to take a lead on the rest. As Dr. Howard Hendricks once said, there are many things I can do, but I have to narrow it down to the one thing I must do. So then, how do we weed out the good activities that are diminishing our capacity to focus on the God activities? How do we discover which things we should really go after and give time to and deliver on with excellence versus the things which, though good, we need to let go of? Well, I want to encourage you to take some time after this video to reflect slowly on the following questions. Firstly, what are you most deeply passionate about? What are you naturally really good at? Which one thing would have the biggest impact on your ministry if you could accomplish it in the next 6 months? Similarly, which one thing would have the most negative impact on your children or your young people if you stopped doing it? Or how about this one? If your budget was cut or your time was cut by 50%, which activities would you stop doing and which would you fight to keep going? When properly considered, these questions have the power to bring to the surface the things that matter most. Once you've discovered them, choose to focus the first and best of your time and energy on those things. Friends, you cannot do everything, and you certainly cannot do everything well. So perhaps it's time for you to do less and accomplish more. And as we finish, let me say thank you for everything that you are doing to invest in the lives of children and young people. I cannot think of anything more important that we could give our lives to than passing on the gospel to the next generation. So come on, keep going. Don't give up, because what you are doing is important.